I was excited to include Ben in this project. Ben's the kind of guy that embodies the spirit that a local music scene should be built on. A spirit that is welcoming and encouraging and has no cool guy club, no table that you have to earn the right to sit at. I met Ben before he was even the bass player in Biloxi Parish. He quickly invited me to open for them and extended the most generous hand to me, and that's something that I'll always remember in my personal artistic career. And it's the kind of people that we need to help encourage the next generation, to help encourage the person who's got awesome songs but they've never come out of their basement. And Ben is an essential representation of the kinds of people that make up these scenes and that make up the fabric of our arts communities.
I was thinking this would be one of the TELUS songs too. All right. Howdy. They say it'll change. They don't tell you better or worse. I'm alone all of the time. Even with you, I can't escape myself. Blacking out all of the time, looking for solace or solitude. I need closure, at least a release, so blame it on my attitude. Something in the water. They are something, mother from daughter. Take these chains off of me. I can't breathe, let alone sleep. My chest caved in, a breathless goodbye. The bottle's empty, yeah, my eyes had dried. The moment's gone, comes as a shock, so break it all down, honey, I'm all talk. 14 years last, it's fair.
Well, howdy, folks. I am Bretton Lee John, the host of the Weird in High School podcast, and today I'm joined by. This is our first time video, but this is our second podcast, isn't it, Ben?
No, you've never had me on the podcast.
What? I never had you on the podcast? No. All right, we'll cut that part out. Today I'm joined by old Ben, who will return for the audio podcast. How are you doing, Ben?
I'm good. How are you?
Well, not too bad. It's not 1,000,000 degrees.
Yeah, it's we survived the heat wave.
Yeah, the heat wave in Lethbridge.
Yeah, it was pretty bad.
There was a heat wave band in Lethbridge?
The heat wave.
Oh, it was pretty bad.
Yeah, there was just like a really bad heat wave at the.
I heard something about a band.
It was like 3 weeks.
Sure, there was a band called Heat Wave at some point.
There's a band called Freak Heat Waves, but they're from Victoria.
Not Lethbridge.
Not Lethbridge, no.
So, for the folks that don't know, I would say that Ben is a fixture of the Lethbridge music scene. You played bass in the band formerly known as Biloxi Parish, then formerly known as Yarborough, and now it's just formerly known. And now you've got Non-Ultras and your solo project. How have you managed to be so prolific in the Lethbridge music scene?
Oh, geez, I've never thought of myself as a fixture of anything, but Lethbridge is like a wonderful community. I mean, like you lived there for a couple of years. I think post COVID too, like people just kind of like wanted to do more, and I think I was one of those people. I think like playing bass in Biloxi Parish and Yarborough, I think that was like a really big step for me and kind of like allowed me to like kind of cut my teeth a bit. Living with those musicians too, like they taught me a lot. Like I really owe a lot to like Zach, Cole, and Taryn. Being able to play with them and like really kind of like, I don't know, kind of model after them at a certain extent was really cool. Zach was really helpful for helping me write songs. And then, you know, like pulling my own influences and stuff has been like super helpful. And then with the foundation of like Non-Ultras, I was really fortunate that like Joe wanted me to be in that band with Benny and Josh and Wade too. And it's just been such a fantastic time. And we're really looking forward to when we can do this as a band too.
So if you had to claim a mission statement for Non-Ultras, what would the mission statement of Non-Ultras be?
Can I get a definition of a mission statement, please?
Or what are you setting out to accomplish with Non-Ultras? How do you want the band to be known?
I guess it's tough to answer without like the rest of the fellas here, but I mean, for me personally, like I just want to play as much as we can and kind of see as much of the country as we can playing, and then kind of just see where we can go with that. It's been really fun so far. Like I think we've had a lot of really cool opportunities, and I hope that we can kind of keep that going.
With Biloxi, you guys definitely had a hardcore hometown hero thing going on, and I mean that in a positive way. But I always felt like that band could have been huge across the country. Was there ever you did do some road gigs, but was there ever any decision to tour that harder or not to?
Yeah, I mean, like I think COVID was kind of like the biggest deterrent in that, and then like it's tough, right? Like everyone kind of like COVID really ruined a lot of things for a lot of people. Like I don't think anyone was not affected by that, and like I think that was like a really tough thing for us, and we were trying to cut that second record, and just everything that happened with that was like really difficult. But you know, as we move forward, and then we rebranded to Yarborough and stuff, like I found that we just didn't really have the same opportunities. You know, we were so young when we were in Biloxi too. Like we had friends in university, so like Lethbridge is a university town, so like it was so easy to get people out. But there's kind of been like a really cool switch in Lethbridge. Like our hardcore scene is like booming right now, which is something that is like really cool. And I think it's really important for the all ages venues, and like that's really showing that that's kind of like how you can get a really good draw. I think is like being able to like host those all ages shows and like allow the kids to come to them. Because they're the ones that are really building the foundation, and like they're now starting bands and stuff. Like I was talking to the guys in Chrome Harvest because I played a show with them last week, and they were saying like Biloxi Parish, they were like, yeah, we saw you guys, and like, you know, like we thought like, wow, like they can do this, like we can do this. And I think that that's like the most important thing is like allowing people to have access to those and see it as something that's like reachable, and then that's kind of how you can like allow for a better music scene and like more inclusive and like allow for more people to join.
There definitely is so that's something that Lethbridge definitely, I think, does better than maybe the bigger cities. Is it's easy to go to the, like I heard Biloxi and became a fan of Biloxi the first time I ever went down to the Owl when I was in university, and it was like really inspiring to see high quality local music and to have a like obvious vessel for where to experience it.
Well, like the first summer I lived here, like I met the guys in Biloxi Parish, like I think I was their fourth bass player, and I feel like I was really fortunate because I feel like I got to play with them for so long. But I was also a fan. Like that's like I remember like stumbling into the Owl and seeing them and like hearing Zach's voice and just being so blown away by it. And then yeah, kind of just like being able to like get in close with those guys and just become friends with them, and eventually being invited to play in the band was like incredibly validating. But I think having like accessible venues like such as like the Owl, I think Theo Brew does such a fantastic job too. They kind of have a more DIY feel to it, but I think that that's really allowing for more spaces to open up too. Like those hardcore shows I was talking about, like they're utilizing like the Moose Hall, and like even a year ago when they were first starting to do shows there again, like people were like really stoked because that was kind of like a hardcore staple, and that was before my time. Like I wasn't in the hardcore scene at all, like in like whatever time period that was. Like, but yeah, I think it's just kind of cool seeing like these different venues kind of allowing different accessibility.
So with having played bass, which there are all the jokes about bass players going on. I mean, I've played bass in a million bands too. What has the road been like coming from, you're known as Ben who plays bass in this band, to Ben who fronts this band and Ben who does his solo project? How has that road been?
Well, it's interesting because like I don't really front non-ultras. Like I think like it's such like a collaborative piece. Like I don't think there's one person. Like it's like such like a fun collaboration. I think when I started my solo stuff, it was because like I wanted to like sing and play guitar more. But I do love playing bass. I want to play that again. Like I really enjoy like the atmosphere you can add to with bass. Like I think it's like one of the most like foundational instruments, and I also think it's like one of the most important things. Like Josh, the bass player in Non-Ultras, like the riffs that he comes up to and like his playability is crazy. Like I'm so influenced by him. Like even when I started in Non-Ultras, when we were writing Yarborough, like I was like really taking influence from him and I didn't even realize it, but like the things that he comes up to with are bananas. Like he's just crazy.
What is it about rhythm players that stands out to you? How do you, what, and I mean this question more in a way of spirit than actual technique, what kind of spirit applied to rhythm section do you feel like makes it land with people?
It's like the base of everything, right? Like it's like, you know, like bass, I guess is kind of funny to say that, but like when you have a foundation, like it's like the most important thing. Everything relies on it. Even playing guitar in a band now and stuff, like it's like I really rely heavily on like drums and bass to understand like where I'm at and where I'm going, and like the pickups and like when it drops off and things like that. Because that's like the one thing, you know, like with like I just sing and play guitar in this project. But like I want to try doing some home recording stuff, and like I'm gonna kind of add like my own layer of bass to it, and I'll have to kind of lay down a click track. But I just think it's like, I don't know, like I love like a lot of like folk, like singer songwriter, like the old Dylan, like huge Leonard Cohen, things like that. But there's a different layer that gets added when you kind of have like drums and bass or like any type of rhythm instrument. I find it like it just adds such like a difference. Because as much as I love like just singing and playing guitar, I think it just like allows for more opportunity, I guess. So yeah, I don't know. I'm also really lazy, so that's why I like singing and playing guitar too. So because it's like I don't need other people. I can just kind of do it completely myself, and like I don't have to worry about like, oh, does this sound okay? Because it's kind of just like purely like what I want it to sound like, I guess.
Last night we swayed, lost count in my mind. Settle up, oh, it's time to collect, but better yet, time to forget. I'm not much of a man, I never claimed it, I never claimed it. And you're ashing again, last dollar spent, and I'm hanging on by thread. Is this where you saw yourself? And they asked you, and they asked you. A chance to counter, and it left you fried out of your mind, still blooming like a flower. Somehow you're all dry, so what do we call this? A coincidence, a coincidence. And you're ashing again, last dollar spent, and you're hanging on by thread. Is this where you saw yourself? And they asked you, and they asked you. So pour another down and have it out, 'cause that clock is ticking down. Is this how you supposed it would end? And they asked you, and they asked you.
I feel like they're almost feeding separate parts of you to do the songwriter thing and to do the more band oriented music. Like, I love playing drums, and the music I want to play drums to is dramatically different than the music than anything I would think of as like the best songs ever. Because when we're thinking about, oftentimes having less there musically can let lyrics and vocal performance breathe way more. But you don't, at the same time, you don't get that opportunity to lock in with other musicians and become part of the same organism almost.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think like when I'm playing in a collaborative setting, I think it's very much so I play every instrument completely different. Like because when I'm playing solo, it's like even when I started the old band thing, like I just wanted something that was like, I guess it was like maybe like the introvert of me, but just like allowing myself the ability to have like full creative control over something. Because I think the most important thing in a band is being able to collaborate and not having like a certain like one person dictate or anything like that. I think it's so important to create an atmosphere where everyone is like comfortable and like feels competent and feels heard and validated and like what they want to see in it. Like I just find that that's like kind of where I've seen the most success, because in Biloxi with Zach, like Zach wrote like he would come to like with the chords and he would have like the lyrics written, but then he would just be like, yeah, like whatever you guys want to do, basically. Like he was like, kind of like go at it. Like he allowed for so much growth that I don't think I would have had like as a bass player without that. Like if he would have just kind of written my part and told me, because it allowed me to kind of like expand my skills and like work with him collaboratively rather than kind of just like a pick and choose, you know? And so I guess just coming back to that too, like with the old band stuff, like I'm able to kind of just like, I'm like, oh, I can rip off this Bob Dylan song, or like, I don't actually just rip it off, but I think it's really easy to come back to him. But I think it just kind of allows for me to do whatever I want. And like, you know, like I don't really, I can reflect on it in my own way. Like I don't really have to worry about like ensuring I'm like stepping on someone's toes with like putting something here, or like kind of like having like playing too much or overplaying. Whereas like with a band, you know, it's like you want to like be able to have space and kind of like service the song. Whereas like solo, like it is just like, that's the song.
Yeah, it's like the bones, and I'd say the song is the bones, and then the flesh is all the presentation of the song and what we put on it. And I mean, you've got, or maybe it's more like the body and then the clothes on the body, because you can, I mean, Jeff Buckley, Hallelujah it's still Hallelujah, but it's Hallelujah wearing a completely different outfit than Leonard Cohen.
Oh, completely. And like, you know, Jeff Buckley's like such a good example because like no one can kind of recreate that, you know, like what he was doing was just so like, I could sit with like my Stratocaster and try and write. And that's like kind of what I started doing as old Ben. And then it just wasn't working for me. And like, I think I got like a little angry with it, and like I would take a break, and then I tried doing like the baritone guitar because I thought that was like gonna add like a cool edge to it. But I've just found like kind of like the acoustic guitar thing through like a tube amp is just kind of like the sound that like I really enjoy, and like I think it's like kind of like the best version of this project now. So yeah, I don't know. I guess it's like always about like, I think the presentation's one thing, but like it's almost like the vibe of the person's like the other thing. Like I think of like in Edmonton, like Ellen Baba, that project's fantastic, and that's him just with like a Godin Strat. Like it's like the coolest thing on earth. Like brings you to tears, and like I don't know how he does that so well. Because like if I've tried to recreate something like that, or like when I was trying to do like kind of like moodier songs with just my Strat, like I found I just like could not present it the way I wanted to, and it never sounded the way I wanted to. Whereas like I find now, like the way that I'm playing, like I'm able to actually like captivate it and like find success in it. Like I find that I get like better feedback through kind of how I'm doing it now versus like how I was before.
In terms of arriving at the guitar and amp setup you've got, that's, I mean, I've never seen anyone else with your specific same setup. It definitely, I mean, you can call it to mind like Shaky Graves did that kind of thing. I think the first Matt Good record was his acoustic guitar through like a Marshall stack, which is crazy. But there's, it's, you do have a signature sound just in your choice of gear there. What did you discover there that works, and why do you think it works?
A lot of trial and error. I was a really big fan of like lipstick pickups. So like Dan Electro, and like I'd put a lipstick pickup in my Strat, and I still use that in non-ultras. I just found like I'd bought in this guitar, and like I ordered it through Long McQuaid, and everything's stock. And I was just using it as a practice guitar, basically. Like I was like, oh, if I want to play like an open mic or something, I can just do that. And then at the Owl, they have like a Fender Elixir, which is like one of those pawn shop amps. And I remember Steve let me play through it, and he was like, wow, this thing sounds really cool. And I found that it really like complemented my singing in a way that like, I think the first guitar I had was like a hollow body, like an archtop type, and I think it had like P90s in it, and it was so muddy, which I thought was cool, but then like I was hearing videos back, and I was like, oh, this sounds so bad. So I think really just kind of like finding out like what amps I liked and like how I could kind of create that sound. And I'm always like tweaking it, I guess, but I found less is more because I was using a lot of pedals and stuff, but now I find like I can just kind of like crank up the reverb on my amp and then allow it just to do its thing. And that's kind of where I'm like the happiest. Like, I don't know if other people think it sounds good, but I also don't really care because it's kind of just like, this is like what I want to do, so I'm just going to do it.
There's definitely a push and pull between using tools and textures to your advantage, and there are musicians I can think of who are maybe more into the textures and the tools than into the say the writing or the stripped down substance. But yeah, it definitely depends. Like, personally, if I have to plug something in, I'm way less likely to use it than if I just pull a guitar off a wall, or and it's kind of the same way with like plugging straight into the amp. You're not chasing down which pedal's making that noise, and that can take a lot of the time you might have otherwise spent creating something.
Well, this comes back to my earlier point of being lazy. Like, I hate lugging a lot of stuff around. Like, I like being able to just carry everything in one trip and then not having to worry about it. I find it's just like, that's like the easiest way for me to do anything, is if I can just like kind of carry it all in. And like, I do have pedals that I use, but I'm finding like better ways to kind of like, I guess, use them tactfully. And being a non-ultras, like, that's been super helpful too. Like, playing in this setting and like being like, oh, okay, I can like tone this down and stuff. And like, I don't have as much space to fill there. Whereas like with this project, it's like, I kind of want to, like, I have to fill more space, I guess. So it is like a lot of push and pull and just kind of finding like the right tools and like where they're the best and like where they're most effective, I guess.
Is there a place you'd like to get to with music, or are you in that place? Like, I think there's what Lethbridge does uniquely well is it facilitates people to have a basement to jam in and the time to get together with people and play music in a way that I don't think is as possible in the more expensive kind of faster paced maybe markets. Do you like, is it something is it a creative outlet for you that is purely recreational, or would you aspire to road dog, say, your old Ben project more?
Yeah, I mean, I think that that's kind of like the ultimate goal, and I'm doing as much as I possibly can and kind of like chasing that as much as I can. I think I need to kind of work more with like actually looking into like grants and like things like that, and like kind of reaching out more to kind of get just different places and stuff. Like, I would definitely like to play in Calgary more and like Edmonton. I do love playing in Lethbridge as often as I can. I just find like maybe trying to like step out of my comfort zone a bit more, I guess, because like booking shows here, it's like I know everyone, but like Calgary, I kind of have to be a little bit more vulnerable, and same with Edmonton. And like, I think I've played Rockin' for Dollars in Edmonton, and I've played the Palomino once solo, but just being able to like kind of like find more, I guess, like kind of other songwriters and stuff that I can kind of reach out to and not be so critical of myself or like self-conscious, and just kind of like the worst thing people can say is like, no, like they're probably not going to roast me about it. So I think like really just kind of trying to like expand on this as much as I can. And like the thing with non-ultras too is like, that's kind of like my main focus right now anyways. Like, and same with like when I was in Biloxi Parish in Yarborough, like the old Ben thing is kind of like, it's my thing, and it's kind of on the side compared to that. Like, I would rather kind of like build this project with other people, and kind of like expand on that and do more with that, I guess. Cause I just really love playing in a band. I find it like takes some of the pressure off, I guess. And like, it's nice to have like the camaraderie of it. And like just like the friendships that you form through it too, I find is really cool.
In terms of writing, we recorded a couple songs with specific references to other, I'll use the term loosely, but artwork, ranging from Richard Linklater films to Halo missions. What tends to be, or is there any trend in what tends to motivate you to write?
Yeah, I mean, like, I guess, like, for like the lyrics I write for Old Ben are so much different than anything I do for like bands and stuff. Like, I think it's much more personal with the Old Ben stuff, except like it's not like very I think Andy Schaaf once said, like, he's like, you put like a little bit of yourself into it. So I think it's like I kind of take like the emotional state I'm at, and then like I'll try to relate it to other things. Like I'm a huge film nerd, so like I'm always referencing like a lot of like campy horror movies or like things like that. Like the song Patricia Arquette I have, like, you know, I watched Boyhood and that movie like really hit. Like I just found like I was just like thinking about it nonstop. And it was kind of in like a really tough place in my life at that point, and it just kind of like, I think I wrote that song in like 30 minutes. Like I just like kind of all came together so much, and like I was able to kind of interweave like personal anecdotes along with like things that were happening in this movie, and even like other Arquette movies like Lost Highway, which is like a David Lynch film, and it's like so different compared to Boyhood, but like it's just so funny to see like people's range, I guess. So I think I was trying to illustrate that, and like that's where a lot of those references come in.
I mean, to be a little woo-woo about it, it almost feels like that's a metaphor in, or at least stands with a lot of what we've talked about diversity as a musician and in the things you're doing. Anyway, yeah, thanks so much for being here and chatting with me. It's been a pleasure.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Sweet.